Hi everyone, this is Dan Horner, and the purpose of this video is to work with some strings, and instead of using things like flash fill that you learned about on page 741 of your text, to instead use formulas to be able to look at the characters in one column and then get information back about that, and even go ahead and split the words in one column into 2, 3, or 4 columns. I'll just be using 2 columns as an example. This is where we're going. We're going to write a formula that will do something like this. Let's say we look at the string that's here in cell D13. It has banana cream. I want to write a formula that would look over there in D13 and figure out that banana is the first word and cream is the second word, and place the first word in column E and the second word in column F. So how can we do that? Well, first let's focus on the first word part of the problem. We've got to come up with a way to use formulas to look at the contents of the items in column D and try to figure out where in the world is the first word and what separates the first word from the second word. So go ahead and look at column D right now, even for yourself, and ask yourself, what is it that separates the first word from the second word? These strings are all different lengths. It's not always like 5 characters in is the first word, and then all the rest of the characters are the second word. We don't have anything like that. But what we do have, if you'll notice, is there's a space between each and every occurrence of a first word and a second word. Macadamia nut, there's a space between the macadamia and nut. There's a space on row 11, clematis hank. There's a space on fragrant plum. In fact, if you keep going down, even on row 16 where it says elite gold pineapple, there's only one space there. Elite gold is hyphenated, but there's a space over to pineapple. So it's like, okay, well, can I use that? Can I write a formula that perhaps looks for the space and then determines, well, how many characters came before the space, and all of those characters would be the first word. That's kind of where we're going, all right? Well, to get that first word out, we've got 2 formulas that we can use. You see them up here in the middle of the screen. You'll see a formula called left and a formula called find. Let me introduce to you what these do, and then we're going to put them together so that we can, kind of tackle the problem at hand. So first, what in the world does left do? I'm going to go ahead and type it. Sometimes it's just really good to take a look at a formula and see what it does. So right now I have on the screen left, open parenthesis, D11, close parenthesis. That is saying to the formula called left, go look at the contents of D11. It happens to hold clematis hank. Go look there and then do your job. Whatever it is left does, do it to D11 and then put the results right here in E11 where I wrote the formula. So let's press enter. What did it do? Well, it looks like it gave us the very first character out of the string in D11. So let's see if we're right here. We'll look up here. Left returns the first character or the characters in a text string based on the number of characters you specify. So, okay, left all by itself will display the very first character. Well, that is what left indeed did. Left looked in D11, it found a C, and so it put the C right here in E11 where the formula is at. Let's play with that a little bit. Let's go up here and edit our formula. If I put a comma and a 3, that will tell left, go look in the cell D11 and show me the first 3 characters from the left. I'll press enter. Let's see if that works. We should get what? Take a look. What should I get on the screen? The first 3 characters out of D11 would be capital C, L, and E. Let's see if that happens. There we are. We have capital C, L, and E. It's like, hey, this could work as a formula, don't you think? Let's go ahead and count how many spaces are there in the first word clematis. Let's just see how many there are. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I said, let's give me the first 8 characters, I should get the first word. Clematis. I get clematis on the screen. Not bad at all. And in fact, if I copied that down, let's see if I get the first word for D12. I do. I get fragrant. Not bad. But I wonder if that's a coincidence. Notice that fragrant is exactly the same number of characters that clematis is. Let's copy this formula down for, say, banana cream, and let's see what we get. So we'll copy this down. Oh, look, we have left D13, 8 characters. We get banana, we get a space, and we get a capital C. So left is not giving us the first word. What left is doing is it's giving us 8 characters from the beginning of the string it's looking at. And 8 characters is B-A-N, A-N-A, there's 6. The space is 7. Capital C is 8 characters. There it is. That's what's going on. So we're still not quite there yet. Let's see how find can work and help us. Let's just see what find does. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of each of these items. Let's see what find does. Find will return the starting position of one text string within another text string. A lot of words. What in the world does that mean? Well, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's say I want to find the starting position of the K in clematis Hank. Let's just say I want to find that starting position. Well, the formula is find, all right? And what is it that I want to find? See how on the tip it says, what's the text you want to find? Find text. Let's just say, well, you know what? I want you to look for a K. And I put a comma there. I want you to look for a K. Well, where do you want find to locate this K? Well, I want it to look right over here in D11. So I put D11, comma. Now the starting number, what does that mean? Well, that means to the formula named find, when it looks in D11, well, at what position inside of that string do you want it to start looking for the K? I mean, do you want it to start, ignore the first 5 and start looking at character 6? Do you want find to ignore the first character and start looking at character 2? What do you want? What's the starting number? And it's very straightforward. The C is position 1, the L is position 2, the E is position 3. Well, I want find to start looking at the very beginning, so I'm going to put a 1. So this formula right now means, you know what? I want you to look for a K. I want you to look in D11 to see if you can find a K. And oh, by the way, when you're inside of D11, start looking from the very first character. If you find it, well, find's going to give the position of that K. Well, let's press enter, see what we get. We get a 13. Now take a minute, pause the video if you have to, but count how many characters are in clematis Hank and look where the K is. And don't forget to count the space. So CLE, there's 3. MAT, there's 6. IS space, there's 9. HAN, there's 12. K is at the 13th position. That's why it reports back to you 13. You see, what find does is report back and display the position of the thing you want it to find. In this case, we wanted to find a K. Well, now here's where we put our problem-solving hats on. We try to say, how can I find the first word over here out of column D? And our logic goes something like this. You know, if I could find the space, I could tell left how many characters to go in order to display the first word. If I could just find that space using the find formula, then I could report that answer back to the left formula, and then left would know how many characters to display for me with every single row when it looks in column D. So what does that look like? Did you realize you can put a formula inside of a formula? So let's play with that just a little bit. We want to say, hey, left function, left formula. I want you to look right over here in D10. So I'm going to arrow over and I'm going to choose D10. Okay. I want you to look in D10 and I want you to give me all of the characters up to the space, because I know the space will be the end of my first word. Well, how do I find the space? This is the part that's so cool. We can put our formula right here, even though it's inside of another formula. So we'll type find, and then another open parenthesis because find needs that. And again, look at the tip. The first thing I tell find is, what are you looking for? Well, double quote, space, double quote means look for a space. Where do I want find to look for this space? Right over here in D10. Now we just covered it. Where do we want the search to start? At position number 1. Now when I do a close parenthesis right here, see how those red highlights showed the parentheses that are just for the find formula? These parentheses have to match. I just finished the find formula. I have to finish the left formula, which means I need one more parenthesis. See how when I did that final one more parenthesis, my outer parentheses are black, my inner are red. That's showing me that they're matched. This is now saying, hey, left formula, look in D10, and I want you to go a certain number of characters. But wait, while you're there, calculate to find the position of the space, because that's the number of characters I want you to go. So find calculates the position, reports it to left, and I press enter, and now I have macadamia by itself on this line, and this formula becomes copyable because that find function will always count and find the space wherever it falls. It'll always be looking one cell to the left for the space. So watch what happens when I copy this down. I have in fact written a formula that looks to the left one column, looks for the space, and gives me all the characters up to the space and displays it. I've just now used a formula to get the first word when there are 2 words in a column. All right, now let's just get a little bit different. To get the second word, I hope you've got some ideas going through your head right now. One of your ideas might be, hey, look for the space and then give me all the rest of the characters. The only problem is we don't have a formula that says go to position 4 and then give me everything after that. We actually don't have a formula that'll do that. It would be so cool if we did. So now we're stuck. We're like, okay, wait, how in the world am I going to get this second word out of this? Well, I want to introduce a couple more formulas for you because we can figure this out. Follow? We can totally figure this out. But I first need to show you what the formula right does. Now, when you read it, it says it returns the last character or characters in a text string based on the number of characters from the end that you specify. Oh, great. Okay, so right will give me the number of characters from the end that I specify. So for instance, let's say I type right and I want right to look over here in column D at fragrant plum. All right. And if I just end the formula right there, kind of predict it, what's going to happen when I press enter? It gives me one character from the end. What's the very last character in Fragrant Plum? It's an M. If I hit enter, we should see an M in this cell. All right, and hopefully you predicted it was an M. We got an M right there. Now let's work with it a little bit. Just like left, if we put a comma and a number of characters, I just put a 3 for fun, okay? Kind of predict it. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, right returns the last character, or the character is based on the number of characters from the end that you specify. Right is all about giving us characters from the end. So this right now is written as saying, look in D12, give me 3 characters from the end, or just give me the 3 last characters. Well, Fragrant Plum, the last 3 characters would be L-U-M. Let's see if we get that when I press enter. All right, L-U-M. You can see how the right formula works. It gives us the last characters. So if I want to edit this particular one, I can see Plum has 4 characters, right? I press enter. I've got the last word, the second word, inside of column F. But it's not quite mission accomplished because the problem is every single second word does not have only 4 characters. If I wrote this exact same formula down here where it says September raspberry, raspberry is a very long word. I want to get just the last 4 characters if I copy it down here. You guessed it. Can you tell? What's it going to be? You're right. E-R-R-Y. We've got to somehow figure out how many characters from the end. Well, we can do that. Don't totally freak out, but we can do that through some calculation. You know, if I could just figure out how long this string is, and if I could subtract from the length the position of the space, I then would know how many characters from the end I need. Did you catch that? If I could figure out how long the string is, and then subtract from that the position of the space, I would then know how many characters from the end that I need. Let's do that. Let's kind of do that as an experiment. Try that logic. Here's a string right here, macadamia nut. I'm going to put the cursor up here. Let's count, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We've got 13 characters. If you got a piece of scratch paper around, write down 13. That's the length of macadamia nut. Now, if I can subtract from the length the position of the space, I'll know how many characters are left in this string. So let's try that again. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's count. Let's see where our space is at. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The space is in position 10. Now, did you write down the 13 for the length? Now subtract from that 13 the 10 where the space was at. 13 minus 10 equals 3. Look at that. 3 characters from the end is that second word, nut, N-U-T. Let's try that again, see if it works. We'll try it over here with mini pearl, all right? We'll come over here, and we'll do this a little bit more as we're going. We're going to get the position of the space and the total length of the string. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 is where the space is. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This string is 11. So the length of the string is 11 minus 6. That's the position of the space. That equals 5. Well, what's the 5? 5 is how many characters from the end make up the second word. Let's try that. Let's go backwards 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look where the cursor's at. It would just be pearl. In fact, let's even try that right here. We can even type it. If we did left, sorry, wrong formula. If we did right, and we say, where am I looking? Look over here at mini pearl and give me 5 from the end. I should get the second word, Perl. So how can we put this together? Remember, you can put a formula in a formula. So we're going to start up here, and we'll write this formula live so you can see how it's going to work. What's going to drive the formula is right. We need for right to look over here in column D at this whole string macadamia nut. It's going to look in macadamia nut. Right only needs to know how many characters from the end do you want. But we've got to calculate it. How do we calculate it? We've got to do some math. And so I'm going to put this math inside of some parentheses so we don't mess things up. Remember, we said if we can figure out the length of the string minus the position of the space, we've got it. So this formula len tells us the length of the string, which is awesome. So we go len, open parenthesis, len goes and looks at D10. Len will figure out that that entire string macadamia nut is 13. And then we'll subtract from len the position of the space. Well, how do we find a space? Wait, I even said it. Find. So find, what are we looking for? A space. Where do we find this space? Go look right here in D10. And when I look in D10, do I start at like the first character, the second character? Well, I want to start at the first character. So close parenthesis, finishes the find function. Close parenthesis again, finishes the len minus find group. Close parenthesis one more time, finishes the right function. Now, if I went too fast, pause the video. I'll move the cursor here. Pause the video, count parentheses. If you have 4 closing parentheses, you've got to have 4 opening parentheses. You have to have things balanced, okay? So this formula will then give us the second word. Let's go ahead and enter that. And I have nut. Now let's test it. Let's copy it down. If my logic is good and my formula is correct, each and every one of these should calculate out as giving us the second word. Now, you had to stack formulas within formulas. You see it up there in the formula bar? This particular exercise shows you how you can calculate some of the items that you need. And so I hope you learned how to nest formulas, that's what it's called, but also how to, look for things on the left, look for things on the right, find something. We found a space. You can find anything. You find a dash, find a comma, how to get the length of a string. Play with this, run the video a couple times if you need to. Contact me if you have questions. I hope this gets you going, and have some fun with it. Bye now and have a great day.